Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy. We are back with another movie review, and this is actually the last Best Picture nominee that we need to review before the 93rd Academy Awards, which we are going to be streaming, not the actual event. We're going to be live streaming during the event this Sunday, or I guess the early hours of Monday morning. Go over to George in a second for the times on that one. But today we're talking about Promising Young Woman, which is the comedy thriller starring Carey Mulligan, directed by Emerald Fennell. Yeah, so this is one to cross off. This isn't going to be the last Oscar movie that we're going to be covering before the weekend. Me and Tate are going to be on one where we're going to be covering all the animated films. That's going to be this Sunday. But before we dive into this review, over to George with the socials.
Absolutely, guys. So what we want you guys to say is comment your thoughts on Promising Young Woman. This is available in the UK on Sky Go / Now TV, so it's very open for you guys. Again, here's a little trick. If you want to watch the Oscars, you don't have Now TV, you've never had Now TV, get yourself a week free trial, cancel before it. You can watch this and the Oscars, and if you're really sad and desperate, there's Zack Snyder Justice League as well. So there's a little trick. We do it every year. We create new emails. I'm joking. I've got Sky Go. Thanks to one of my friends. And yeah, so do comment your thoughts on this. It has been out. We're not going to do spoilers in this video. We very much want to hear you, I think, because this has been one of the I hate using the word most discussed films, but this has been one of the ones that's had a lot of what's a polite word for hype? This has been one that I think once people have seen it, it's like word of mouth. This one has gone like fire. So let us know your thoughts on this. And if you want to know what other videos we have, as Chris said, Oscars live stream details are scrolling across the screen right now. We're going to be live 6th year in a row. We've got our prediction games going up. We've also got a giveaway to win a Rakuten voucher. So if you follow all the details in that description, it will give you a working link to the spreadsheet, and then you can send it over to us, get that sent over. We'll put it up on our system. And of course, if you want to find out about our videos, things might change. Hit us up on our socials, which is Facebook at Cinema Savvy, Twitter at cinema_savvy, letterboxd.com/Cinema Savvy, and we have a link to TeePublic in the description below. And two more things. We won't be going live for the Falcon and Winter Soldier finale tomorrow night. That is going to be this Saturday at 4 p.m. now. However, there may be another video popping up on the channel, which I forgot to mention to Chris before we went live. But if you like Mortal Kombat, there may be something going up on the channel. We will have to let you know. But
oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, there's a new Mortal Kombat film out tomorrow, apparently. So maybe you'll see a live watch along of that. Perhaps stay tuned.
Yeah, that's why it's
information, I guess.
You know, technically, it's not being released in the UK. Warner Brothers didn't actually tell anyone that. However, that being said, we are at the final stretch. You know, we've had the Marvel videos finishing, Falcon Winter Soldier finishing, Oscars finishing, and I feel really rude. I've not introduced Charlie as well, which is really bad. So thank you for coming back on. If you haven't seen Charlie and the Marvel videos, check out the Marvel films. We've got a big rankings video coming out this weekend. And also, if you've really missed our Hillbilly Energy review, you know, if you think why are they promoting that well, it's the first film in history to have someone nominated for a Razzie and Oscar for the same performance. So have a check of that. But no, we're talking Promising Young Woman, and I think we always begin with the awards it's nominated for. I don't have the list up with me, Chris. Do you?
I haven't got the complete list, so bear with me. But it says that it's been nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress. If someone can do a double check, we're so unprepared for this review. It's hilarious every single time. But there's 2 other elusive ones. Maybe costumes, maybe cinematography. I'm not sure if someone can just check that out.
Yeah, original screenplay and film editing.
There we go. But I think because we've done enough talking at the moment, I think we should hand over to Charlie. So I guess just what were your thoughts going into this thing beforehand? Did you sort of follow the film, or did it very much just sort of get released, dropped out there, and you checked it out when it came out?
Yeah, well, it was one I was waiting a long time for, because they got to see it at a lot of press screenings like months ago, and everyone was talking about it for a really long time. I actually went into it a little bit anxious because I knew what the topic was, and I knew it was going to be a very like sensitive film with some quite harsh subject matters. But I absolutely loved every minute of it. I thought it was so well put together. I think it covered everything it needed to cover in a weirdly comical, light-hearted manner for something that's absolutely not. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it lived up to the expectation.
Absolutely. We talked about the sensitive matter there, and I'm going to talk about the plot of this film. I'm going to go off Wikipedia of this one because it's a bit more specific as to what this film's actually dealing with. So it's got Carey Mulligan stars as a woman who seeks to avenge the death of her best friend who was a victim of rape. When I saw the trailer for this thing, and even the marketing, I didn't really know what this film would turn out like in terms of its style, its tone, and everything like that. Because the marketing for this thing, and I think I mentioned to you, George, it looked very Birds of Prey, sort of Atomic Blonde, that neon, colourful kind of visual look to it. And even the trailer, it kind of looked like... well, I got the impression from the trailer it was going to be some kind of rape revenge movie, but I didn't know if it was going to be... I didn't know what the tone was going to be like. I didn't know if it was going to go full-blown serious or if it was going to have this almost slasher movie edge to it, like almost like an exploitation film, you know, like the old rape revenge movies. You had films, I think like one was Band I Spit on Your Grave, I think came out in like the 70s. I didn't know if it would be like sort of modern version of something like that and get pretty violent, because the tone of the trailer was very sinister. And even I think the song that was used in the trailer actually features in the film. We'll talk about music later on. Was this very creepy, like solo violin cover of Britney Spears' Toxic, which I thought was very effective for the trailer. But with it being a sensitive topic that it's, you know, talking about, I didn't know how it was going to be handled. And I was asking myself that question all the way up until I finally got to watch this movie today. And thankfully, I can say that this is easily one of the best films that's been nominated for Best Picture this year. I will say it feels very different, and that's a good thing from all the other ones that have been nominated. Now, not to say that every Oscar year you always get films that kind of, you know, Oscar fodder, they're always called. I think from like a filmmaking standpoint, I think there are better films that have been nominated, such as The Father, in terms of its stylistic choices, its filmmaking style. Even I would say Nomadland feels much more experimental. But the screenwriting for this thing, the acting, the actual story itself, and the fact that it's so delicately handled, how it handles the dark comedy in the film, I thought it's tremendous. And I think that sets it apart from all the other films that have been nominated this year.
Yeah, I'm in a really fascinating place with this because I didn't see any trailer like many Oscar films. I think more so this year because we've not had cinemas open, we don't get them played before. So I knew next to nothing heading into this, except if anyone knows about the Variety article, which caused a horrific reaction when basically the reveal was a moron. And I think the directors and the cast and Margot Robbie came out criticizing him because just wrote a load of nonsense. And it feels like a force of nature, this film. And I mean that in the plot, how people spoke about online. And it's fascinating because all I knew was the sort of the subject header. I knew the basis of the plot. And I think it's something that I'm familiar with to a point in terms of what goes on in people's personal lives. There's been something similar to someone that I know, not to that level, but it's very on the point for me. And I kind of approach this as a really fascinating. I mean, the fact that so many people I know that had already seen it, because I was quite late, I saw this today, since it came on Sky last week. I've mentioned that in a minute actually, but it was fascinating. I was really excited to watch this because there are so many films you get Oscar season every year. It's like, as you said, Nomadland, it's very well made, and it's this, and we had differing opinions, and so many Oscar bait films, but this felt so different. This felt quite raw, that it felt like this isn't your typical Oscar film. This was like a film they just couldn't avoid, because we know they love to avoid films that aren't Oscar bait. And this is one that was so good they couldn't. And I'm actually going to make a massive parallel, and I don't mean to cause offense by this, to Get Out, where that was very much a film made by a black director. And it's getting better now, but back when Get Out came out, there wasn't with Jordan Peele. I'd argue it's his breakthrough film, and that's put him on the map for places to come. And it has an ending that could very easily have been not a disappointing end, an end that the character doesn't deserve, that would have probably happened in real life, and it didn't do that. And I think there is a carbon copy in here of the fact that it's a female director. There aren't many of them. Again, this could be a breakthrough. The fact that Emerald Fennell has been nominated for Best Director, and I thought this has been one of the best directed films. And the fact it also has an ending which could have very easily been this happened. I'm not going to spoil it. It's like, this happened, and basically there's no justice. I'm going to leave it at that. And there were some comparisons watching this of Get Out, and I don't know if that's just me, but I think Emerald Fennell, is she now writing a DC film? That I know that she's an actress, she'd been in The Crown. I've not seen her or anything. I'm not seeing The Crown, but if you want to talk about putting us all on the map, I'm all in for her next few films, whatever they're going to be, because this was incredible. And I'm going to go out on them right now and say that of the 8 for Best Film, this is my favourite by a country mile. I don't think it will win, but I was looking forward to this, but this blew me away in something I didn't expect.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those films that's come at the time, same with Get Out, where it's come at a time where it's needed. Like it's speaking to an audience that can relate to it. it's talking about topics that don't get talked about enough. There's still so much stigma around all these kind of events that happen, and it writes it in a way that explains how everyone involved is involved. You know, it's not a man bashing film. It's not a victim blaming film. It's these things happen, and these are the people that made it happen and are the reason that these things do still happen everywhere, you know. And I think there'll be so many people that can sit and watch this and go, I relate so much to this character. She does stuff that a lot of us wouldn't dare go out and do, but it's almost like I wish I could do that. You know, she's playing this character. She's almost like a superhero in a sense, that she's going out and defeating that evil that no one else bothered to defeat. So yeah, I think it's really important. And Emerald Fennell is just a force to be reckoned with. Like she's here to stay. This has come off the back of her writing season 2 of Killing Eve, and she absolutely smashed that. So yeah, I'm the same as you, George. I'm so excited to see what she does next.
Yeah, and I don't think this film could exist without, you know, things that have happened in Hollywood in recent years. I think a film that it felt quite reactionary to, you know, current events at the time. I think it was actually nominated. I don't know if it was nominated for Best Picture, but Bombshell, Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, that felt very reactionary to everything that was happening in Hollywood at the time, came out very close to that time. And that was a fine film, but this one, I think, handles that subject matter much more creatively and uniquely, and I think it plays with a lot of the tropes, because as I mentioned, I also picked up on the superhero thing as well. She is almost like a vigilante, you know, she's keeping a tally, and you could spin this film in a completely different way. I mentioned like the slasher film, you could have her going out and exacting vengeance on all these people and actually physically killing them. There's very little is there little violence in this film. It's not the film that I expected it to be, because I thought she was going to be killing these people. When you see the trailer, it's obvious. You put 2 and 2 together, and that's what you expect it to be. It's almost like Kill Bill, that she has this personal list of people that have wronged her, and also 5 people that have wronged her, that she wants to confront. And again, you could spin it in a different way, but she actually has a conversation with them, and you know, she makes them see the error of their ways, but it's not done in some kind of like brutal, horrific way. And the man bashing thing as well, that was my biggest concern going into this movie, was, is it going to demonize every male character in the film? And I don't think it does, but and I think, Charlie, you mentioned this, it's done in it's almost like everyone's a caricature. You're meant to like laugh at how pathetic all these people are, but the tone is consistent throughout the movie. And, you know, it deals with very serious subject matter, and I think how it handles that is perfect, and you still get everything you need to in the story and the subtext, but it's kind of dressed up in this very visual and almost cartoon-like perception of these characters, which I really appreciated. And I think that if that hadn't been in the film, I think I would have had a harder time gravitating towards the film, but I thought it was just masterfully put together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a big thing with this is that all the characters we meet, that not necessarily the guys on the nights out, because we know that the kind of guy that would approach somebody like that is someone that is going to be a dickhead, politely put. But what I found fascinating was the other characters in her life. We have her parents, we have her old friends, I guess you could say politely. We have a love interest, and also we have to bring him up, Doc Ock. As someone that didn't see the trailer, that completely was like, whoa. Didn't take me out the film, but it was a very, Chris, you messaged me as well. Mm-hmm. It's a sign of what's to come in December. Because you spoiled it recently. But that aside, I thought the cast was phenomenal as an ensemble. Even like Alison Brie popping in for 5 minutes. I had no idea of anyone in this except Carey Mulligan. And even the lead actor, if you say me, Bo Burnham, I didn't even know who he was. Apparently he's a massive YouTuber. And I thought he played his role great, because I felt like he was an innocent, nice guy and all of it. But then you get one of the smartest... I don't know if it's a smart twist. I didn't see it coming, but maybe it should have been obvious to see it coming. But with his character arc, he is very much on a different journey. And I think what's kind of massive for me is that I hate to bring in the film terminology. I know we've all studied it, but very rarely do you come out with a film and you start thinking about the essays you wrote when you were younger, right? Obviously, I didn't write an essay, but I was like, oh, the title Promising Young Woman. Is that about Nina, who was murdered, or is that about Cassie? I have not had a thought like that in a long time, and it was even the title has meaning in that sense, because either one of them could have been in definitely the Promising Woman. So I thought the writing was superb, but the writing can't work without that incredible cast and without that direction. And I thought it's phenomenal. Now we've seen a couple more performances. I genuinely have, sorry to bring into the Oscar season stuff, but everyone knows Best Actress is the big question mark this year. It's been like different people every other week and stuff. And I really hope Carey Mulligan wins this. I honestly have no idea who's going to win. I don't even know who I put down in my predictions, but it's going to be a really fascinating Sunday. And I said this about Minari. I still think Minari will be the one that, if anything, nabs Best Film that's not known, it'll be Minari. I think if anything I think Chloe Zhao's got direction in the bag, but screenplay, I think this could knock Aaron Sorkin off his perch.
I think it's got a really, really strong chance for Best Picture. I really do. I mean, no one would have called Parasite, would they, last year? So I think this could be it. This could be the year that a woman director takes home Best Picture as well. Why not? I mean, the film deserves it. I don't want it to win personally. I have my own favorite, but I think it's got a very strong chance. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Bo Burnham's character, because and probably everybody watching, but there was a moment in this where my heart just completely sank, because I just thought that we had this really solid constant that she could rely on, and it sank because it's so relatable. Like, there's so many times that we trust people we shouldn't trust, and she knew as soon as he said that he went to school with her, that was a red flag for her instantly. And I just think that's what makes it such a brilliant film, and that's what makes the performances and the writing work so well together, because you as a viewer, you've put trust in these characters and it's taken away from you, and I just think that's so clever. And yeah, I think Carey Mulligan is phenomenal. I think she's probably going to get Best Actress for this. I think as well it'll be a career win, because she deserves it. She's done so many incredible films, and her whole variety of performances is so different. Like, this year she's done this and The Dig. I mean, you can't get polar opposites like that. She was brilliant in both of them, and I think Best Actress is going to be between her and Vanessa Kirby. But I think I'd like to see Carey Mulligan take this one.
I need to watch more Carey Mulligan films after this film, because this was, as an introduction to her, like this film's absolutely tremendous for me. I think she absolutely deserves to win for this. The range of emotion she shows in this film, whether it be subtleties, she can play the sort of like the sinister, domineering vigilante kind of side, and then there's the moment, I'm not going to give the whole film away, but where she's watching a video on an iPhone, and just the camera just stays on her, and you get every shred of emotion you can, regret, anger, regret, and everything like that. She just showcases it all in one tremendous performance. And what was I going to say? You mentioned about the Oscars. Yeah, I think this absolutely deserves to win. I don't think it'll win Best Picture, but as an introduction to this, not only to this actress, but this director for me as well, now with it being her directorial debut, I wanted to talk about the visuals of this film. Easily the most striking film for me. I guess I'm a sucker for like colorful films. Like, I was thinking back, like when we talked about best cinematography, like I love Hero with all like the different seasonal colors in the film, Mad Max Fury Road with the oranges and the reds and everything of the desert. I guess I'm a sucker for a colorful film, and this one's tremendous, whether it be the costumes or even from like the thumbnail of this video, the vibrancy of her, like, I guess, final outfit that she wears at the end with the hair and everything, and just the rooms, just the attention to detail with the colors. And I guess you could probably go full film student with it and extrapolate, oh, this color means this and this, but just in terms of like a visual film to watch, I think it's easily the most unique one out of all of the 8.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm kind of surprised now I'm seeing it's not nominated for Best Production Design. Granted, it's not big sets, it's this, but every room feels different, and every choice of a room, whether it's after a night out with Sun or the different clubs that they're at, or when you got that pink room in the lounge of Alison Brie, and it's like Alison Brie's character trying to figure out what's going on. I thought it just added another dimension to it, that it kind of feels, I hate the word, not like a sort of like a dream, but that kind of sort of fair, what would you call it, like a fairy?
It reminds me of like a Stanley Kubrick film, like Clockwork Orange, or where in that film you've got these vibrant colors and weird, quirky characters, like the parents in this film as well. Very strange and cartoony, and the stereotypes of pushy parents and expectations they have.
And I think it's the first time we've seen Stifler's mum not be nothing. Like, she actually had some, not masses to do, but it was like there was actually more than just the fact it's Stifler's mom. And Clancy Brown as well was a lovely little addition as well, playing that really awkward dad. And sort of what you mentioned, Charlie, earlier with the supporting character, that you're really with him when he's making them awful dad jokes at the dinner, and you're kind of laughing as well. And you can, I thought it was one of them that it was just done so well. And sort of his character arc is probably the most devastating of them all, in terms of the fact that they build you up to trust an individual. I don't want to sort of maybe spoil something by mistake, but the fact that when you've got the pairing together, it always feels like she's been in the wrong, never him. And I think because the writings took you away from him being an issue, she being the issue, it's a really smart thing of what they were trying to do with him towards the end. And I think a big thing with that is that there's a very easy chance this film could not have worked if the ending did something different, which it very almost did. I don't think it would have. It might have worked to a sense, but I'm devastated but delighted with the ending, because I feel like the story was told, that it clicked, and you had that. But it felt like a big finale. Granted, it wasn't a massive big finale, if that makes sense. It felt like exactly what you'd want from a climax of a film with this subject matter as well.
I think the studio pushed for it, didn't they? Sorry, before Charlie. I think they pushed for the ending that we have in this final film. I don't think that was the original intention from the director originally.
I actually love the ending, but I know it's very controversial. I know a lot of people have a problem with it. But I think it's so hard to talk about it without actually saying what happens. But I think it's important, and I think it rounds off the story perfectly. And the design is so important throughout the entire film, from her costumes, her makeup, her nail varnish is so important all the way through, because I mean, I noticed it in nearly every scene. It gives like a sense of craziness to her. She's unsettled. She's got so much going on inside her head that she can't control it. And I think that is completely reflected in the design of the film, from the costumes and hair to the production design and the sets and everything like that. I love the color palette. I think it's so stylish. It's so trendy. I'm not sure how well it will age, but I don't think that really matters too much, because I mean, it's a film set now, isn't it? So it doesn't matter too much. But the way that they kind of created these miniature like characters that she was playing throughout the film, like when she was going out on the nights out, and then her in the final scene, and then when she's working at the cafe and things like that. I just think it's so visually beautiful, and that is, all those elements are so important to carrying the story.
Yeah, and it just adds to the sense of film, doesn't it? Like, as I mentioned, like, you could probably dive into this and really think about it and extrapolate a meaning, what all these colors mean, and the mood of the scene, perhaps. And maybe you can do that, but even if you're just watching it as a film, it's an absolutely stunning film. And the music as well, just in terms of like the overall vibe of the film. I love the soundtrack to this, and I think this is actually probably one of the few films that have been nominated for Best Picture where I've actually been really conscious of the music and how it elevates the scene and creates that sense of mood. That kind of almost like horror movie vibe with like the screeching violins, very unsettling in some scenes, really ramp up that tension. And then you also have like the actual soundtrack music as well. You've got Angel of the Morning in there, which is one of my favorite songs. So it was great to hear that. The Toxic cover, as I mentioned, you've got loads of other covers, but it just adds to the feel and the vibe of this film. There's so much to deconstruct from this film in terms of its actual filmmaking. And as we said, like production design and the whole mood that they want to convey in the audience. And I thought that the music coupled with the visuals was outstanding.
Yeah, I thought the music was solid. The fact that it didn't always go for the release, it was a remixes or a cover of it, and I thought it was a really nice way to do it, because if you'd have played Toxic by Britney Spears, I don't think it would have worked.
That would have been like Version Prey or something like that. That would have been too Suicide Squad if they'd have done that.
And whereas by playing a very different, discrete version, but it worked so well for the scenes in which the music was played. Very quickly, actually, no, Charlie, if you want to speak about music, I've got something. I want to mention Margot Robbie actually after.
No, go for it. It's fine.
So this is Margot Robbie's her first film in her production company that she's produced that she hasn't starred in. And I don't want to jump on the horse too much, but do we have another Brad Pitt? Not to have expectations, but you know how we were speaking, Chris and Am in our review, that Brad Pitt was producing this, and between us, we were looking at some of the films that he's produced over the years of Plan B Entertainment, and I kind of sat and saying, if Margot Robbie's, obviously, all these actors, when they're in production companies, they will produce their own films. Nothing wrong with that. But if they're going to start giving other filmmakers chances to get people into productions, to find the budgets for films that they may not have without a big name production company, I'm excited to see what else Margot Robbie wants to help get made, because I think the role of a producer is so important. And when you have an A-lister who is doing good for the industry in that way, I think that's one I really wanted to bring that up, because not to sound horrible, Carey Mulligan is phenomenal. Margot Robbie could have easily got the rights, says, I'll buy the rights and I'll be the lead. But she wasn't the lead, and she didn't buy it for that. So I'm really intrigued to see what else Margot Robbie could produce in the future.
Yeah, and I think she's giving a really strong feminine presence in Hollywood. And I think she's doing she's doing the right thing with her fame, because she's taken so much from so many big films, all the way back from like Wolf of Wall Street. She could have just done that and stuck herself as the top billed actress in a lot of films, but instead she's making the right decisions, and like she did with Bombshell, she's choosing them based on films that she believes in, and I think that's really important. I'm excited to see what she does next, what she brings to the cinema next.
I'm glad she decided not to play the lead in this, though, because not to take anything from Margot Robbie, she's a tremendous actress, but I think the role would have been too similar to roles that she's played before. I think it would have been compared to, as I mentioned, like the Harley Quinn comparison, I think would have been rife if she'd have played the lead in this film. I guess we go into final thoughts then. I feel like we could talk more about this film, but I think we've more or less combed through everything. I don't want to go into spoilers. I don't, because I think a massive part of this film is just going in completely cold, or even if you have seen the trailer, you haven't seen anything yet when you finally sit down to watch this film. Final thoughts, I was absolutely blown away by this film. I think from a screenplay standpoint, from directing, performance, it's absolutely outstanding. Visuals, oh God, I hate saying this. It sounds so like 5-star review. It's twisty, turny. There's revelations in the film that you don't expect to see coming. And I think out of all the films that I had like a preconceived notion about before going in, I think this one surprised me the most, hands down. I think this is a very rewatchable film. I think that the way that, the directing and writing was handled, it's taking this very serious and sensitive issue, which, has been, prominent for ages and still continues to be in Hollywood now. But it added a nice, unique spin to it, which gave it its own identity and still got the message across that she wanted to voice, and that should absolutely be voiced, but it was packaged in this very entertaining and just visually creative film. So yeah, I'd give it absolute full marks for this film.
Yeah, I don't drop this word too often. I'm going to say a masterpiece in absolute truth. I think this is a film that people will be watching and speaking about for many, many years to come. We might look here in 3-4 years' time and Emerald Fennell's done 3 or 4 big films, or there's so many other things happening. I think this is going to be a not just career-defining, but a career-launching film that I'm so excited. And also the fact this won a couple of BAFTAs as well, we didn't mention earlier as well. Well, now I've seen it, and, am I going to really quickly, my final thoughts, harp on the UK nonsense again? Stop releasing Oscar films after the British Academies had their awards night, because we can't watch them. That little tangent aside, I thought it was, honestly, if you haven't seen it, I'm glad we're not doing spoilers. Normally I'd have been craving for it, but I'm glad we haven't done it tonight, because this is one to see. And I'd say maybe in our stream on Sunday we'll go into a bit of spoilers with it, but do watch this, and it's so accessible. As much as I hate Sky, and everything's been on the news of them recently, I'm glad that this is one of the films they've got the rights to, and this is accessible for many people.
Yeah, absolutely. This film is important. It's emotional. It's hilarious. It's full of absolutely incredible performances. And for me, it feels, I know I made the comparison earlier, but it feels very much like the Parasite of the award season. Well, that doesn't sound good, but Parasite was being talked about so much by critics and in the press and stuff last year, and I was like, it'll probably be quite good, but is it going to be as good as everybody's saying? And then, of course, it absolutely was, and I feel exactly the same about Promising Young Woman. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes home a few on Sunday. I really wouldn't.
Absolutely. So that'll do it for our review on Promising Young Woman. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts on the movie. Have you seen it? Are you looking forward to seeing it? As we mentioned, we're very glad that we didn't give anything away, and you still have time to get it watched before this Sunday, where we will be doing, well, I say Sunday, Monday for us, where we're doing our Oscars live stream. Early hours of Monday morning, we're going to be live at 12:50 a.m. It's the long haul that night. I believe it's from 1 a.m. all the way through to 4 a.m. and we're going to be doing our live stream and hopefully being energetic and vibrant and vivacious as we always are on this thing. We'll do our absolute best. As I mentioned, this isn't going to be the last Oscar film that we're going to be talking about on the channel. Before that live stream, though, me and Tate will be live at some point on Sunday afternoon. We're going to be going through all of the animated films, so I still have time to get 3 animated films watched before that stream. And yeah, that will take us up to Oscars, and then we're moving on to greener pastures afterwards with brand new content after that, which we'll announce on the night. But George, our resident Marvel guy, we're coming to the end of the retrospective. Give everyone the rundown.
Yeah, so last night we uploaded our video Spider-Man Far From Home, the 5th best Spider-Man film, and 6th, sorry. We had a fantastic discussion to round out, I keep thinking it's to round out the series. It was the final entry of the films, but this Saturday at 8 p.m, obviously 4 p.m, we've got Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's a very big deal to us still. But the rankings video, the definitive top 10 rankings, and I hear people screaming, what makes you think they're definitive? Well, we've got 10 people submitting their top 10s. We have an accumulated score system. We have a definitive top 10. Maybe it's our top 10, but do check that out. Charlie co-hosted it with me, which was very fun. Very different video. You know, it's not just 10 people reading 10 films. It's very different. Kind of like football punditry in a really polite way. But if you're curious, if you're interested, check that on. If you've not seen our Marvel videos, there's already 23 of them up now for the film. So you don't really have much an excuse. You can now pick your favorites. You don't have to follow a schedule. They're all on a set playlist together. But rankings video this Saturday, and who knows, maybe after this Saturday there could be more ranking videos. And I'm gonna politely plug that we have another big franchise starting next week. You see us laughing because it's a film with one more film than the MCU, and it's got 24 at the moment. It's called James Bond. We'll go over some more details on Sunday, but luckily it's not 3 a week, thank God.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm finally going to get to cross all those films off, but as you mentioned, we'll have more information on that on the weekend. I want to say a big thank you to Charlie for jumping on the review today for this one. Before we end, I don't know if we have it to bring up on the screen, but we'll add it in the description if you just want to let people know where they can find your stuff.
Oh, yeah. So I write for The Film Magazine, which is at The Film Magazine on Twitter, and then my page is at Funny Old World X on Twitter.
Awesome. And our content, remember, get your Oscars predictions in. I think we've got a thing to click. There we go. Oscars predictions. Please do get that in. It's in the description down below. First and second choice for all of the categories, and with your chance to win a £15 Rakuten voucher. And our social medias, we've got Cinema Savvy at Facebook. Twitter is cinema_savvy. We're on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. And if you want to pick up any merch, we've got the TeePublic link in the description down below. That'll do it for us, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.